How to study during Ramadan with full focus and energy. If you're a student who's a Muslim and it's Ramadan, first of all, Ramadan Mubarak. But the second thing is you might be thinking to yourself that, oh my goodness, how am I going to do well in school? How am I going to, achieve this high ATAR and rank first in all my assessment tasks and do all these things and improve myself, make this academic comeback? If I can't drink water, if I can't eat, if I'm going to be tired, if I'm going to be brain dead the whole day, how am I going to do this? Don't worry. I've been there and I've done that. And I used to actually have the same thoughts. But guess what? In Ramadan, I actually got the best results. I'm not joking. Like I got the best results during Ramadan. Okay. So in this video, I'm going to go over how to study during Ramadan. I'm going to give you all my tips. And hopefully by the end of this video, you will know exactly what to do and it will not be a problem anymore. And if you have any questions, be sure to chuck them in the comment section down below. So let's just jump right into it. First things first. Before I go into how to actually study during Ramadan, tips to manage your energy, etc., I just want to cover three main things first. Number one, change your mindset. Okay, you need to change your mindset. Like I said, you might be thinking to yourself, oh no, fasting is going to affect my marks, right? A high chance it is actually. Every student I've spoken to has this thought, right? But you have to understand that Ramadan will not hold you back. It's actually going to propel you towards success even further, okay? Like I said, I got the best results during Ramadan. So what I want you to do is just rely on Allah during this month. And I mean, you should be relying on Allah in general, but especially during this month. You have to understand that at the end of the day, you are doing this for the sake of Allah. So for you to be like, it's going to affect my marks, it's just silly. It's not going to affect your marks. So I want you to change your mindset about this. And I want you to have full faith that Allah's got your back, okay? And, just to put a verse from the Quran here, and whosoever puts his trust in Allah, then he will suffice him, okay? I don't want to make this an Islamic lecture, but this literally sums it up, okay? This is something you should have in general, but in Ramadan especially, place your full trust in Allah. Like you're fasting for his sake. You really think he's going to let you down? No, I'm telling you, it's your own self that lets yourself down. So change your mindset right now, literally right now. I want you to say to yourself that Ramadan will not hold me back. It will actually allow me to succeed even more. Okay, say that to yourself right now. Cool. That's the first thing. Change your mindset. Second thing I want to cover is the difference between quality and quantity of study. Okay, so during Ramadan, I'll break it to you. You're most likely not going to have that much quantity of study, meaning the number of hours. Right? It's going to be hard for you to crank out, 6 hours of study in the weekend or, 8 hours, or even after school. It might be hard to do your usual number of study, like 4 hours or whatever you're studying, right? It might be hard to study a lot. However, you have to understand the concept of quality study. And this is what you should optimize for, especially during Ramadan. Why? Because during Ramadan, there is a lot of barakah in your time. In other words, your time is so blessed during this month. Okay. So in my case, right, when I was in Ramadan in school, and even now, right, you have to understand that the value of an hour in Ramadan is not like outside of Ramadan. So you have to have that mindset. You have to actually understand that, okay, although I'm going to be studying less during this month, I'm going to get even more done, because there's a difference between quality and quantity of study. Okay. So don't be upset that you're going to study less this month. What you should really optimize on is, okay, what am I doing during my hour or 2 hours of study? Okay, because I promise you, during this month, it's just amazing how blessed your time is. Okay, so that's the second thing I want you to understand. It's okay if you don't study that much, as long as the quality is a lot, right? And then finally, one more thing is, please, this is so important. I'm even going to reiterate this at the end of this video. Do not forget the purpose of Ramadan. Okay? The purpose of Ramadan isn't to smash school. The purpose of Ramadan isn't to get the high ATAR. The purpose of Ramadan isn't to make your academic comeback. At the end of the day, the purpose of Ramadan is for you to get closer to your Lord and to get forgiven and to just really maximize the month, Islamically, spiritually, right? And I'll put you can read this hadith here. You can pause it if you want and read it. But you know what? Yes, pause this video and read this right now. I want you to read this because this is the purpose of Ramadan. It's not for school, okay? You have to get a little detached from this world and focus on the hereafter. That's more important. Trust me, the hereafter is more important than this world, okay? It's more important than the ATAR, whatever you're trying to achieve, okay? So you can't forget this purpose. It's crazy how I see some students that will literally finish the month of Ramadan and they've done nothing. Like they're the same person. Okay. Do you know, I put one hadith here, but there's another one actually where, I think it was the Prophet ﷺ said something along the lines of whoever finishes the month of Ramadan and they're not forgiven, like they should have dust in their eyes. I've obviously rephrased it, but the whole idea is like during this month, it is so, so, so easy to be forgiven and to be, saved from the hellfire. And if you're not that, then you've seriously, seriously done nothing during the month. Okay. So increase your Quran, increase your dhikr, make sure you pray, make sure you pray tahajjud, make sure you do all these things. Okay. I do not want to see any of you prioritize working over worship during this month. I don't want to see any of you. Okay. Even oh my goodness, it's so bad even thinking about it. There's been people I know who don't fast on specific days because there's an exam during the month. Like you are a serious fool if you do not fast because of an exam. That is like literal, like you're a baby if you do that. Okay? So that's that. I want you to understand those three things before I go into the actual study. Now, here are my 95 plus ATAR tips for studying during Ramadan. Once again, during Ramadan, I got the best results. I genuinely did get the best results, both in my personal life and in actual exam. Okay, so here are my top tips to study during Ramadan. If you're not already, make sure you take out a notebook and take some notes on this. Number one, optimize your study schedule. This is extremely, extremely important. So what you need to be doing is you need to actually plan out when you have the highest energy throughout your day and when you have the lowest energy throughout your day, and you need to optimize your study to be within those times. Okay, so for example, after suhoor, at least for me, I had like a peak of energy, right? So if I was to show you this kind of on a graph, right, it was so let's say, I woke up, it was suhoor, yep, I ate food, and then after suhoor it was like this, my energy was like this, right? And then, I go to school, right, my energy kind of falls off. Even when I get home, it falls off. And then 1 hour before iftar, it goes up like this. And then I have food. And then after iftar, it goes up like this again, right? Random graph I've just showed you. But as you can see here, my peaks of energy are at suhoor, right? My other peak of energy is before iftar, right? And then my other peak was after iftar or tarwih, right? After you go to the mosque, right? So this was my personal energy levels, okay? Now, what I want you to do is also map out your personal energy levels. I can't really tell you what they are. You have to actually reflect and see when you have the most energy throughout the day. So basically what you want to do is once you've mapped out your energy, guess what? You're going to be studying when? During these times here, right? During these times is when you actually want to be studying with full focus and putting the effort. Okay, you don't want to be studying during these times. What you want to be doing instead is worship. Okay, this is a real hack, because by doing this, what you're doing is you're taking the best of both worlds. You're able to read Quran, pray, do tahajjud, all these things, and you're also able to study. Okay, so I want you to really map this out visually. Even do a graph if you want. See when you have the most energy and study then. Okay. Cool. So once again here, for example, I studied after suhoor, I had the most energy. After iftar, I also studied. Also 1 hour before iftar or 2 hours before, I did have a little bit of energy there, so I studied. Also use power naps. Okay, make sure you use power naps. Okay, for example, after school you might be exhausted, take a nap. Now when I say take a nap, I don't mean take a nap from after school all the way till you break your fast. That's ridiculous. I mean take like a 30-minute nap, 15-minute nap, like a small nap, right? And then also, what I'd recommend you do is between Asr and Iftar, I'd recommend you do worship. Okay, again, I'm going to emphasize this again. You are optimizing your study schedule, not just in terms of studying, but in terms of worship too. Okay, let me just reiterate this. You're an absolute loser if you finish this month having not done any form of worship, like reading the Quran more, doing more remembrance, doing more praying. Like if you don't do that, like you're lost. Okay, so you want to actually schedule in when you want to do worship. Right? It's very important, like read the Quran and stuff. And then, so this is usually, on a weekday, but on Saturdays only, what I'd personally do is I'd stay up late. So on Saturday, what I do is throughout the day, it's on the weekend, it's a bit hard. My energy is kind of like, it's like that the whole time. But what I do is on Saturday, especially after I come back from the mosque, right? in other words, tarwih, I'd stay up from from after tarwih all the way to sometimes fajr, right? And then I'd sleep in from fajr to dhuhr, right? Now, this for me was amazing. It was actually such a cheat code, because I mean, if you're able to do it, it might be a little bit hard for you because you might not be able to have the energy to stay up. But by me staying up from after Tarweeh all the way to Fajr, like I got so much done, like so much done. Not even just in terms of study, but in terms of worship and everything. It's really, really nice. Okay. However, if you're unable to stay up that late all the way to Fajr, don't get me wrong, it is pretty hard. At least stay up a few hours, like stay up to, I don't know, 3 a.m. or something like that, and then pray tahajjud, go to sleep, etc. Okay. But because it's Saturday and because you're able to sleep in, there's nothing wrong with staying up later. Okay. But apart from that, again, follow the same principle. Once again, see your weekend. Okay. On Saturdays or on Sundays, what's my energy looking like? Okay, let's say after Dhuhr, my energy spikes up, and then after Asr, it falls back down, and then 1 hour before. Like, this is personalized to you. I can't tell you. Okay, there's people I know who, when I'm absolutely exhausted, they have the most energy. So, yeah, you have to optimize it to your routine. Cool. That's the first tip. Optimize your study schedule and write this down. Don't do it mentally. Number 2, arguably the most important concept in this video. Oh, not the most important, but like it is very important. Okay. Number 2, it's to leverage your energy. This is extremely important. What do I mean by leverage your energy? Again, throughout the day, you're going to have times where you have the most energy, like during these peaks, and you're going to have times where you have absolutely zero energy. You want to be smart about this, okay? When you have the most energy, okay, when you have the most energy throughout your day, what are you going to be doing? You're going to be doing the most active form of studying. What do I mean by active form of studying? I mean doing past paper questions, active recall questions, get ahead of the content. In other words, you're going to be doing the absolute most difficult tasks that you just hurt your brain doing, right? The ones that actually require full focus. When you have the most amount of energy, that is when you want to do that task. And guess what? When you have the least amount of energy, that is when you're going to do the most passive amount of stuff. So for example, reading your notes and watching videos, right? Are these study methods effective? Definitely not. But we're leveraging our energy, right? Because when we have least energy, at least we're getting something done. So what I'd personally do is, when I was in year 11 and 12 and I was studying and I had absolutely no energy, I was smashed, I was exhausted, but I still need to get things done. I told what I would do. I would just sit on my bed, open up YouTube and watch videos on the concepts. So for example, biology, if I was learning meiosis, I'd just watch videos on it. Right? It's not a good form of studying, but at least it's something. Or on other days, what I would do is when I was exhausted, I just read some notes, read the textbook, right? Do some homework that's very low energy to begin with, right? So the tasks that require the least amount of effort you want to do when you are exhausted, because that way you're still doing something, right? So that's that. But by all means, please do not do the least energy task when you have the most energy, because that's just contradictory. Right? That's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is to take regular breaks. Okay, this is very important. During Ramadan, of course, you're going to be tired. You don't have water, you don't have food, you don't have coffee. Like me, I love coffee. You want to take regular breaks. Okay, so instead of studying, 2 hours straight, study for 25 minutes and then take a 5-minute break. 25 minutes of study, take a 5-minute break. 25 minutes, just keep repeating that. Honestly, you want to take a lot of breaks during Ramadan because we don't have water, because you don't have food, your focus is a little bit affected, right? So you want to make sure you take breaks. And by the way, when I say 25 minutes, it doesn't have to be that. It can be 30 minutes, 1 hour, whatever you feel is right, but definitely take those breaks, okay? Next tip this is very, very important. Eat well at suhoor, okay? First of all, make sure you actually eat at suhoor. Reason being is because number 1, it is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and number 2, is it's going to help you throughout the day. So during suhoor, you want to eat, number 1, high protein, complex carbs, and healthy fats, which will allow for sustained energy. Very important, okay? As you can see, this amazing image, right? This is the type of food you want to eat. So if in terms of the specifics, do some research, go on Google. But high protein, for example, eggs, right? Complex carbs, wholemeal bread. And then healthy fats, avocados, and of course dates. That's a sunnah in itself. Dates, by the way, are a cheat code. If you're not eating dates at suhoor, you're missing out. They're actual cheat code. Okay, read today actually. After suhoor, I just had dates, and my stomach is full. Like I'm not even hungry at all. So dates are really, really good. Make sure you have those. You can have some almonds too, whatever it is. That's the first thing. So eat high protein, complex carbs, healthy fats for sustained energy. Number two, stay hydrated and drink heaps of water. And I forgot to include plus coconut water. Okay, this is another cheat code. Coconut water has 5 key electrolytes that allow you to stay hydrated throughout the whole day. So make sure you're not only just drinking water, you're also drinking coconut water, okay, or electrolytes, whatever you want to do. But make sure you drink heaps of it, right? Make sure you drink heaps of it. Don't just take one sip. Have a good amount of water. And number 3 is drink coffee. This might not be applicable to you, but for me, I love coffee. I'm addicted to it, and I'm not ashamed to say that at all. I personally drink coffee in the morning because guess what? Because I have energy right after suhoor, going back to the graph I showed you here, because I have energy right after suhoor, by having a coffee, it allows me to stay even more focused for that burst of study. And I can take a nap after on the weekend at least. Or if not, if I'm going to school, I can stay sustained for the whole day. So yeah, it might not be applicable to you, but I love coffee and I definitely recommend you drink it at suhoor. So those are the type of stuff you want to eat. What you don't want to eat is this. You don't want to eat this stuff, okay? You don't want to eat you don't want to eat donuts from last night. You don't want to eat any chips. I hope you're not drinking an energy drink. You don't want to eat, this fried stuff. You don't want to eat cereal. Yes, please do not eat cereal, okay? If you're going to eat cereal, have a good cereal like Wheat Bix, for example, okay? Just don't eat the high sugary stuff like Fruit Loops or whatever. Like you're asking to get tired and you're asking to have zero brain energy. Okay, so please make sure you do not eat high sugary cereals and preferably don't have stuff that release carbs quickly. And if you want to find more about that, do some research. But yeah, you want to make your energy sustained over a long time. And of course, astaghfirullah, I think this is supposed to be some alcohol or something. You obviously don't want to have that, right? So these are the type of foods you want to avoid. Okay, cool. That's that. And then finally, tip number 5. This is the most important thing out of this whole video. This is the most important thing. Write this down on your book with red pen, whatever you want to do. Stick it on your wall. I don't care what it is. Make heaps of dua and do not slack off on worship. Out of everything I've mentioned in this video, this is the most important thing, okay? Make sure, I'd recommend you create a list of duas that you want to make, okay? Like literally open up your phone and make a list of du'as, okay? Now, obviously, you want to include Jannah, protection from the hellfire, etc., etc. But write down what you want to achieve, right? Now, here's a little secret that I'll let you know. I'm genuinely convinced, okay? This is something I'm genuinely convinced by. I am genuinely convinced that the only reason I was able to achieve that 97 plus ATAR and make such a big academic comeback against all odds, shocking everyone, is because of Ramadan. I'm not joking. I have a list of du'as till this day that I made back when I was in year 12 during Ramadan, and I achieved the exact things I asked for, if not better. Okay? This is an actual cheat code. Now, please, no one has told me to make this video. No one has, I don't have some, imam next to me telling me to tell you this. If you don't make dua during this month of Ramadan, you do not want it bad enough. If you're not waking up at tahajjud and asking Allah to allow you to achieve that ATAR and allowing you to make the academic comeback, you do not want it bad enough. That's the truth. So make sure you make heaps of dua and do not slack off on worship at all. Okay? Read a lot of Quran, do all those things. You are not cool if you sacrifice your worship because you want to study extra hard in Ramadan. You're not cool at all. You're actually a loser if you do that. Okay? You need to make sure you do that. If you haven't already, set goals for this month. Set how much Quran you want to read, how much worship you want to do. Set goals both Islamically and obviously worldly, like the ATAR and stuff like that. Okay, but please make heaps of dua. I cannot emphasize this enough. I really, really cannot. Okay, you might know this already, but I need to remind you of this. It's so powerful. I want you to consciously write down what duas you want to make and ask highly. You have to understand Allah's the owner of everything. He can give you anything He wants. Right? So for you to not ask specifically for the ATAR that you want to achieve, for you to not ask specifically for the grades that you want, what are you doing? Like literally, what are you doing? Okay? And by the way, I'm just going to tell you this because I'm not exactly sure about you, but back then I used to think that it's wrong to ask for this in your dua. I used to think it's wrong to ask for this dunya stuff. But there's nothing wrong with it, right? Ask for it and ask and actually be desperate for it. And I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Okay? So there you have it. That is how you study during Ramadan, right? It's pretty simple. It really is pretty simple. The only reason why you find it difficult is because you've told yourself it's difficult. That's a mistake I made. I remember at the start of year 11, when I was actually making my academic comeback journey, and just to recall, if you're new to the channel here, year 11 was when I actually started to want to change myself. Before then, I'd be a failing student my whole life. And when Ramadan was coming up, I used to get so worried, like, oh man, how am I going to change myself, blah, 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 blah. But then I realized, like, it's not that bad at all. Like, I'm making it difficult for myself. So again, a mindset's a really big thing here. You don't want to tell yourself it's going to be difficult. Don't complain that, I see all these videos on YouTube of people eating, blah, blah, blah. Why are you saying that? Okay. So there you have it. Those are my top tips to studying during Ramadan, including, these 3 things. If you haven't already, please go back, take notes on all of this stuff. This is literally all you need to know. Okay. And one thing I will emphasize again is this month is your chance to change yourself as a person. It's a chance to cure the diseases of your heart. It's your chance to upgrade your mind. It's your chance to get closer to Allah. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. That genuinely is the most important thing. So make sure you focus on that. If you haven't already, open up a Google Docs, take out a physical book and write to yourself the bad traits you have. Maybe you're someone who's arrogant. Maybe you're someone who swears a lot. Maybe you listen to a lot of music. Maybe you do all these things. You want to fix this during Ramadan. Now is the time. Maybe you're someone who doom scrolls. Now is the time to fix all that stuff. Okay, this is a serious time for grinding spiritually. So don't waste it. Okay, hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, make sure you drop it down in the comment section down below. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.